welcome back to part 7 of Final Fantasy VII Remake, where today we are going to be helping Jessie out for pretty much the entire video. We're going to be raiding that Shinra base later on in the video, but first things first, we promised that we'd go visit Jessie's parents for a little something, so we're going to be doing that. Because there is a nice touch that they brought up during the last part, of that Jessie, of this group of four, is the only person who still has parents. Everyone else, they don't go into detail with it with Biggs and Wedge, but everyone else doesn't have parents anymore one way or another. So we kind of shared Jessie's for a while.
Here we are. The Employee Housing District, where they put you when your parents worked for Shinra. While their reactors were slowly killing the planet, we were living the good life.
Of all the brand new content added to this game that wasn't in the original version of 7, this whole chapter, if I'm honest, is one of my favorites. The entirety of this chapter is just here to be world building and further develop Jessie, Biggs and Wedge, because in the original 7 they really didn't get much screen time or development full stop. You never really got too much of a reason to care for them, whilst in this game they've really go out of their way to have these faces be more significant, to have them matter more. So going on this little sidetrack adventure with them does so much for them, and it makes me appreciate them more than the original 7 ever gave them the room to breathe to do so. Because there were always little things with Jessie, little things with Biggs, and little things with Wedge in the original 7 that if you dug hard enough you could find, but it just never went anywhere because they weren't the big focus. Their story stays in Midgar. In the original 7, as I've said before, you stay in Midgar for like 2 hours tops before you leave. And so it's like, because they stay in Midgar, you don't get to see them anymore beyond that point. They cease to exist. They're not mentioned or anything. It's just it's nice to see this.
With your help, we won't need luck. You'll take on just about any job, right? Well, I need you to rob my house. Think you can do that for me? Go in through the back door when the coast is clear. The signal will be obvious.
Once the lights come on, it's go time.
Despite how it's presented, this isn't a stealth section per se. And the reason why I say that is because, as far as I'm aware, there's no way for you to fail it. Doesn't matter what bins you kick, what doors you try and go through, if you turn back on yourself, if you stand ominously at windows or whatnot, you can't fail this. There's not a fail state. The game will railroad you. This is basically a giant cutscene that's unfortunately just a walking section. And if you've been with this channel for a while, you know I don't like walking sections. The only reason I give this a vague pass is because of the fact it's used for world building and not to just be a low budget cutscene like it is in a lot of other games that do this. Because there are things you can find in the environment here. There's a note that's going to be on the other side of the door to our right, that's kind of like right in front of you, that gives you a lot of Jessie's backstory. There's things here.
We'll be chatting Mom up in the kitchen, so don't even bother being quiet. There's no way she'll ever hear you. Dad'll be in there, but it's okay. I need you to grab his Shinra ID card. And yeah, I know I should do it myself, but... but I honestly don't think I'm up to it. Just do this for me, okay?
And to be honest, the nature of Jessie's dad being here and being like this, if you look at the paintings or pictures around the place, you read this letter, which I'm going to do so you can see what I'm on about, there's a lot of little things here that give you an idea of Jessie's home and Jessie's life and why she took the path she did. it's really depressing to an extent of what happened. Jessie's lying to her parents adamantly to stop them from knowing what she's actually up to. Instead saying that she's, you know, working at the Gold Saucer, which is something that we won't go to in this game. But if you know the original 7, yeah, the Gold Saucer is this giant, and I mean giant, like epicenter game center in the middle of the desert that has like 1,000,001 things going on, including major stage performances, and it's like one of the greatest attractions of the Final Fantasy VII world. It's ridiculous how massive the Gold Saucer actually is, and I'm genuinely really looking forward to seeing how it's handled in the remake when we get there. Like when future parts come out and the Gold Saucer is there, because the Gold Saucer has the potential to be as big as fucking Midgar if they do it right. Like, it's genuinely gargantuan, the place. If they want to go all in and expand it right out, they could make it like a whimsical wonderland. Which is something that I feel like it should be. Like, I don't want it to feel like a linear string of things that you go through. I want it to feel like Disneyland, but Final Fantasy, you know? Because I feel like if anything was going to have that kind of aesthetic or effect, it should absolutely be the one to do it. I know, like, Final Fantasy 13 too kind of had, like, a casino game corner-esque area as well. But that was a lot more, like, tiny and controlled, and it didn't have any, like, the majesty or, like, majesticness that the Gold Saucer had in the original 7. Which is why I want to see him go that direction with it.
Mission accomplished.
When are you going to give up on the Gold Saucer? How long has it been since you even performed?
A lot of people really rely on Jessie.
As a stagehand, though, right? You can be one of those anywhere. So why not come home and get a job at the Sector 8 Theater?
I'll think about it. You know, I'd really love to stay and chat, but we gotta go.
So soon?
Yeah, well, we hadn't even planned on dropping by. But Wedge wanted some of your famous pizza.
So good.
Sure I can't tempt you with some more?
Maybe just a couple slices, Mrs. R.
Wedge!
Hey, I'm doing it for you guys. You don't want me going to work on an empty stomach.
I'm planning on using a weaker blasting agent this time. Since I can't get in touch with my supplier, our only option is to loot a warehouse owned by Shinra. Hey there.
This it?
Now comes the hard part. I'm gonna use this to sneak into the 7-6 annex.
All right, let's get to it.
Sorry, but you're staying outside. Only I know what to steal from where, so it's gotta be me who goes in.
So, we came all this way just to eat pizza?
You think I'd let you off that easy? You're gonna earn every slice helping Cloud. Just do the thing where you draw everyone's attention away, like you did at my parents'. What's the word again? Maybe I'm more nervous than I thought.
Diversion.
Yeah, that. Nice one, military man.
So what? Does this mean we're gonna ask some Shinra folks out to dinner?
You know damn well what she means. While you're inside, we make sure the guards are focused on the outside, yeah?
Exactly. Couldn't have put it any better. When you see a flare go up, that's your cue. Rush the front gates and make for the warehouse plaza. The more hell you raise, the more time you buy me.
You're gonna run this guy into the ground, aren't you?
How much time do you think you'll need?
Not too much. I'll be in and out. I'll send up another flare when I'm done. We rendezvous in the vacant lot up ahead.
Hold on. How are we supposed to get back to the slums? Wait for the first train?
No. I want to be back before that. Don't worry. I have something worked out. Now, let's get this done.
Well, that diversion's not gonna create itself.
Well, that sounds fun, and in no means or way going to make a trail to lead back to us or anything. Let's just go cause a giant ruckus in a warehouse and then fuck off. Yeah, that sounds like a brilliant plan. Nice one, Jessie. I digress. It makes enough sense, I suppose. She needs to get in and steal stuff, so we're covering for her by being the target. And because, you know, we're already wanted, especially Cloud, because his face was seen so many times when he was escaping through Sector 8 in an earlier video, it makes sense, I suppose, to do this, that we just go and meet a distraction. I get caught up a little here because I try and walk on, forgetting that you have to actually kind of interact with Wedge here for him to move on. But what you learn from Biggs here, well, Biggs and Wedge, is that Jessie's dad, the reason why he's hospitalized is because he fell into the Marco in a Marco reactor and was severely poisoned because of it. He's still alive, but he's probably going to be in that state for the rest of his life. And so Jessie, that ended up pioneering Jessie's campaign to want to shut down the Marco reactors so that couldn't happen to anyone else, which led to her finding Avalanche, which led to her joining Barrett. Making that sequence, she just pretends to stop her parents from worrying, you know, that she's an eco-terrorist. She just pretends she's still a functioning actress, that she goes to the Golden Saucer, or she does performances closer to home now. That's the excuse she gave in that cutscene you heard there, where she just does performances closer to home now. She does them in Midgard, she doesn't go out the Gold Saucer every time. And it is something that I hope gets talked about more often in later parts, even if they, you know, do the whole same thing that the original 7 does and have Jessie, Biggs and Wedge only stick to the Midgard part of the story. I hope we get to learn more about these characters' backgrounds even if they're not around, if that makes sense. Like, they show little signs, like if we go to Gold Saucer we can read like an old poster or something of Jessie when she was there, or something like that. It's like we can get these little teeny glimmers of what once were these characters' lives through the world.
So quiet.
Just need to get past this gate.
Wait. Where are the guards?
Looks like someone beat us here.
And I don't think it was Jessie.
This had better not get in the way of our plans.
It won't.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of stop and starting with my commentary in this video, because there's a lot of cutscenes, and this is something that applies to a lot of the 7 Remake, and it is a slight concern of mine going into recording all this, because on Share Factory you can only make so many vocal audio files, and every time you have to split it for an actual like cutscene or something, like you split it into 2 videos or 2 files, it counts as another session, and you can only have, I think the limit is 20 now, of those like clips or sessions or whatever you want to call it. And I'm already on like what, 6? We're 12 minutes in, you know, like I should be fine. I don't think there's any part of the game where it's so constant between cutscenes and gameplay where I will want to talk in those gameplay sections. Like if it's constantly jumping between gameplay and cutscenes and gameplay and cutscenes, there will be a point where the gameplay section is so tiny I won't bother talking over it because it might as well carry on going. Because it just makes sense to do so instead of me going hi-bye. But yeah, there might be a point later on where there's going to be an interesting situation for me potentially. And it's like, although it's almost like definitely likely it's not going to be a problem, there's just that slight doubt in the back of my head of like, there's going to be a point where there's going to be 20 cutscenes in one video, and I'm going to talk between all of them, and it's going to be like 50 minutes long, and I'm going to run out of recording files, and I'm going to have to try and work something out. It's actually part of the reason why I didn't cover this back on PS4, because back on PS4 it was only 10 audio files, and if it was only 10, in my mind, that didn't seem possible. Without making the videos very short, it was just like, no, this would be a nightmare. And then when it was announced there's going to be a PS5 version anyway, I was like, well then that works out, because I can play it at 60 frames as well. Over here though is a little training room, which you want to do because you get the training bonus, whatever the hell that means. I've never been too sure what training bonus means. I can imagine it boosts something, or makes something a little easier, but I've never actually known exactly what it's talking about. But you can go do that training room instead of immediately beelining over the other direction. I like that this is over here as well, that there's some tucked away chairs and a table for presumable card games and board games off shift. And it's probably just a smoking area as well to an extent. But once you've done your training, the training's only there, really, in case you feel like you're underleveled. You really shouldn't be, because the amount of mandatory fights we've done at this point, the lowest possible level you could be is still high enough to do everything here. It's just more of like a comfort zone grind there if you need it. And Biggs is going to bring up summon materia here as a giant giveaway that we're going to be using it soon.
Okay,
So we've got more cutscenes to come in, and then we're going to be breaking in to make our giant diversion as much as possible, because we can't start until Jessie sends out her flare to signal that our distraction needs to begin. And then we need to carry on the distraction until the second flare.
High enough to get a vantage point.
But like I said, firstly we've got another cutscene.
Hey. So, what did you want to talk about?
When spring comes, I'm leaving town. I'm going to Midgar.
Should have figured. All the guys are leaving.
But I'm not like them. I'm not going just to look for work. I'm going to be a soldier. The best of the best. Like Sephiroth.
The Great War hero, huh? Isn't it pretty hard to become a soldier?
Yeah. So I won't be back for a long time.
Guess not. Think you'll be in the papers?
I'll try.
Just promise me one thing. When we're older, and you're a famous soldier, if I'm ever trapped or in trouble, promise you'll come and save me.
Huh?
That's what heroes do. They save people. Please? Just once. Come on, promise me.
Fine. I promise.
I heard you're having second thoughts.
I know we have to think big if we're going to make a difference. But not like this. I feel trapped.
Speaking of tiny gaps of gameplay between cutscenes, this is one. This is what I mean, like sections like this, where it's like only 5 to 10 seconds long. If there's a point later on where I'm doing loads of files because it's constantly jumping between cutscenes and gameplay, I would end up not talking over this just because it's so tiny. Because the next cutscene's literally right now.
I don't see any intruders. Maybe they went home. Oh, hey, over there! Target sight! Find him out!
Give up?
Kill the bastard!
This entire section's really fun though. You get to experiment with a lot of your skills. It's Cloud on his own, so you have to be a teeny tiny bit more wary of what you're doing. Like you can't swap to Tifa as a backup to save your neck, and if you die, well, it's game over. You're on your own. You don't have a literal second party member. Biggs and Wedge are around doing their thing to distract guards and make it easier for you, but they don't have their own health bars and they don't count as active members, so listen, they're not going to be your saving grace here. But it goes on for a while, and there's a lot of different varieties of enemies that are going to be introduced here, so use this as a giant opportunity to get a feel for... I say get a feel for the combat, you should really have a feel for the combat by now, but get a feel for different enemy varieties and different skill varieties that you can apply to get different effects. In fact, I'd highly recommend getting a feel for parrying during this, because these guards won't always shoot, they'll just only mostly shoot. So if you can spot when they're going to try and swing at you, you can then swap into your Punisher mode. Because something that's really cool, if you're not doing anything, during the transitional frames, of Operator mode to Punisher mode, Cloud's parry stance that you usually get when you only hold guard counts. So if you time the triangle press with an enemy's physical attack, you will get the parry. You don't have to like be in the stance already then holding R1. You can get the parry. You're not going to see it too often because I never go out of my way to do it. I only ever do it by accident, but it's still really nice when you pull it off. Like when you get it, when you just hit the button in emergency and it happens to line up and you just see Cloud just dink them off and smack them. But as we're working through this is a long-ish section, so I want to use this opportunity to do something I haven't done in a little while. Talk about something else. If you've been with this channel for a while, I have a habit of breaking away from the topic and usually talking about things that are happening right now or have happened recently that I want to talk about one way or another. Today being, I want to talk about that new Star Ocean. I have never in my life played Star Ocean, and although this video will be uploaded on Monday, I recorded this on Friday, so it was literally like Wednesday evening for me in the UK. It was like 10 PM Wednesday that it was aired, and as much as I know everyone wanted it to be Final Fantasy 16, I was really happy to see a new Star Ocean. But keep in mind, this is from someone who's never in his life played Star Ocean. I've never taken an interest, never bothered, it's never really been something I've cared about. As Wedge does a really cool trick here to keep the dogs off you, because there's a lot of dogs here. And so, when I watched the trailer, I was like, oh, they look like they've just kind of Xenobladed Star Ocean. And I don't mean just because, I don't know Xenoblade didn't invent open worlds, of course it goddamn didn't. But you know what I mean, like Xenoblade's open worlds are an entirely different beast to most other games' open worlds. The easiest way to look up is look up any like gameplay trailer of Xenoblade X. And you just see those futuristic suits flying around, and the open worlds are so terrifyingly gargantuan. Like it puts most other games to shame just how severely goddamn big they are. And yet everything's completely explorable. Well, they're trying to do that with the new Star Ocean, where at least that's the look of it. And although it looked a little janky in the trailer, the fact that it said coming next year was vague enough for me to tell me, yeah, they're still working on it, so it probably won't be just yet. Also, I got to actually talk about this. We got Limit. This is the first time in the game we got limits. We didn't during that boss fight. When you take enough damage or in enough combat, you build up limits. When your limit bar fills up, you can use it anytime ATB free to unleash like a super powerful ultimate final attack. It's always worth saving it for when you most need it. Even when you've got the limit, don't just use it immediately. Like use it after you like stagger an enemy or something, so you can rip through them and get the maximum damage out of the stagger boost, because it's already a high hitter, so you might as well make it a high hitter when it could also hit 160% damage extra, you know? But back to Star Ocean, as this section continues, with more enemies on the immediate approach, because this section it carries on, it goes on for a while, as I've said. But because of this, I made a tweet talking about the state of play that was, talking about what I liked, and I mentioned that I took an interest in the new Star Ocean. That attracted Star Ocean fans, somehow. I think they just searched it as a keyword and found me, because I had a couple people comment on it, saying, oh, you have an interest in Star Ocean, but you've never played one. Well, these ones are on this one's on this. I'd recommend you try this one or that one. I ended up buying one. I brought a Star Ocean game. To be more specific, I brought Star Ocean Till the End of Time, which I have on good authority is one of the much better ones. There's additionally that one that's been like HD remastered that I'm kind of taking an interest in, and then there's also that remake of the original. And as much as I kind of wanted to start on it, because I have absolutely no experience with the series, I'd rather start with one that people tell me is really good and then work back to the original, because playing older versions or, you know, jank versions or whatever doesn't tend to bother me. I can tend to look past age problems. It's like how my first Final Fantasy was Final Fantasy 4, but I still really enjoy 1 and 3, because despite the fact they're clunkier and older, I appreciate what they did and like what they did for their time. So going back to a remake of the original won't bother me. I'd rather start on a game that puts it in as good a light as I have been told, to get a best possible impression as I can, to then work out whether I want to play the rest of the series beyond that. I've only played it for like an hour and a half. Like, I don't even think I've left the tutorial bits yet. But I like it. I like the characters and I like the world building. I'm not sure about the gameplay yet, but that's just because I'm still figuring it out.
Stay where you are!
Well, shit.
All right, assholes, show me your hands! Well, aren't we having a wonderful time kicking the hornet's nest? You know what I want. A second dance. Just the two of us. You turned the key. The engine roars with excitement. It hungers to be set free!
Fall back. Right. Come on.
It's been a long time since I fought a duel out of the saddle. But, for all the miles on the clock, I'm just as fast as I ever was!
Alright, but it's time for the second main boss fight of the game. Roach is a radically different fight to the Guard Scorpion before, where that was like a major four-phased scrap down with magic and skills. This is a full-on counter match. The idea of this is that you're always waiting for what he does and then reacting to it accordingly. But if you act, he will do the same back to you. So you're literally just paying attention to what he does and then reacting accordingly. Your safest bet is to always be in Punisher mode and always have the parry ready. And pay attention to when he goes to use magic. When he does, immediately break out an ATB skill. Because you can interrupt magic on opponents with ATB physical skills. It's a general rule of this game that's worth following. Anytime an enemy goes to use magic, you can interrupt them out of it with a good ATB skill. But despite being a relatively short fight, Roach is real damn fun to figure out. On your first run, you might not realize that it is a counter match straight away, and it becomes a real nice guessing game of you putting pieces together to figure out how to hurt him and how to handle it. A lot of like the 1v1 boss fights against humans in this game, I think genuinely some of the best fights in this game, but they never get to be done justice when showing people them, because what makes them so fun is figuring them out. Once you've figured them out though, it does look less interesting to watch because it just looks like I'm standing around and challenging everything he does. When in reality, it's because I know how he works and have spent a long enough time working out everything that makes this guy tick to make sure I can rinse him. And it will be the same with any boss fight moving forward that is a 1v1 against a human. You're just going to see me wreck them, case in point, goodbye Roach.
Satisfied?
With such fleeting pleasure? Hardly. There are higher heights to which you and I can still soar. Okay, boys! Give him everything you've got! But kill the swordsman first! We really must do this again. Until then, try not to die. I'll see you on the road, my friend.
God damn it!
Let's go.
Right.
Run! Run while you can! Friendly! Stand down!
Your team shouldn't be here.
Glad yours is.
Come here. Wedge will be fine, but you won't be if they start asking questions.
And who are they?
First guests to the party, another avalanche cell. Our holier-than-thou friends from the old guard. It's always their way or the highway. Lately, they've been a real pain in the ass. Till now.
So then why are they here?
Beats me. We've been on the outs ever since our cell got labeled too extreme, though they're the ones running around with mil-spec gear. Word is, they cut a deal with Wutai. Promised them all the materia in Midgar, apparently. Think there's any truth to that?
You tell me.
Sometimes, I think we're the only ones who've realized the war's over. Okay, mission complete. Let's make our way back to the lot.
Right.
Well, the Avalanche core branch are here, the ones that really don't like our section because we're the really active eco-terrorists and they're the ones that are close to the peaceful protest to an extent. And they really won't be too keen on trying to work out why a mercenary who was once a first-class soldier is doing among the ranks. They would very much question that and it would just lead to too much trouble. So we just got to get into hiding and get out of here, which is actually pretty easy.
You made it! Over here!
Okay! Let's go!
Could you have been any louder? I mean, it made my job a lot easier, but... Wait, where's Wedge? Wedge! That was close.
We'll go get him.
Hey, buddy. How you doing? Come on.
Not my finest hour.
You get hit?
Just swinged, I think. Oh, shot!
Really? Let me see.
Are we seriously doing this here? That's... wow.
You guys are the worst.
Huh? Your ass is fine. Maybe singed, but the only casualty is your underwear. This is like a bruise or a mild burn at worst.
Now that was a gunshot.
Is that a smile I spy?
It's not safe here. We should go.
Copy that.
I love this trio of morons. This like big family they've got going on between them. Like Wedge got bit by the dog. and he thinks he got shot, and so they just as like extra punishment for making them worry so much, they smack his ass. Like, oh come on! I love it. It's charming, and it's like I like that he uses it as an opportunity to expand Cloud as well, because slowly but surely, Cloud will break out of that ridiculous, cold, mercenary and nothing else aesthetic that he was going for. We already saw a little tiny bit of it back in chapter 1 when he grinned after showing off a little to Jessie. But now he just smiled there watching that go on because he found it humorous. But this is what I mean. We've already like evaded the Shinra guards. We've already evaded the police basically. It's that easy. We just went past the truck. We didn't have to crawl under anything. We didn't have to do anything else. We just crawled past, went over here, and that's that. I linger around though near that old lady when we pass them by because this is an interesting conversation to have of how old war times are, because there was a conversation earlier where it said people haven't forgotten or people haven't realized that the war against Wutai is over and has been for a long time, and then there's this old lady here saying it's those Wutai again, let me get my gun. Like, yeah, it's funny to see this old lady be so vicious and so ready to fight back and whatnot. It proves his point. It proves Big's points that he mentioned earlier when he said, yeah, people just aren't prepared to let go that there was the war with Wutai is long since over. Because there was a war between Midgar and Wutai a very long time ago. Also, yeah, that was a bit clunky. I didn't mean to stand there. I didn't realise that she was just going to try and walk to the door. I thought I could open the door. Oh well. But that's it, we're free. No one's following us, no one knows we're doing it, we're just free to go. And then Cloud accidentally, I say accidentally, he just casually drops that. Something he promised he wouldn't. Because he knew he'd get Biggs and Wedge skinned alive if he brought it up. And then they try and cover it up like, yeah, he said he wanted the pizza. Right. Really? Oh, what is it? Or whatever. I wasn't paying attention because I was too busy chatting. It was either pie or pizza. But we got yet another. I told you this is a very cutscene driven part, which is why I've been having my concern about how many audio files I'm going to do. It's a problem I had back when I used to do reviews, which I want to get back to. I want to do more reviews. It's just I got to find something I want to talk about before I do a review, you know?
Should be somewhere around here. Bingo. I half figured my dad got it wrong, but nope. They're here just like he said.
Parachutes?
Huh? What do you mean half figured?
50-50 is pretty good odds if you ask me. This is gonna be fun. Thanks, guys. I really appreciate you coming all this way with me. And like I said before, I'd be grateful if you kept this between us until after the mission. I don't want to complicate things.
Sure. Okay, who's ready to fly?
Me!
Hey, Cloud, you let him down gently, all right?
Yep.
Wait, I almost forgot. One more thing.
Whoa! Stop it! What in the hell are you trying to...
Easy, you'll make us fall.
Not if you do first.
Swing by my place after, so I can pay you in full.
No!
Wait! Give me a minute!
No,
Why you have to be such a hard ass, bro?
I ain't your bro.
I wish I could have done more. Just got hurt.
You did enough. You took one for the team. Be proud.
Yeah? Yeah!
Feels like we're flying high these days.
Now, more than ever.
He's a keeper, all right.
Yeah! Together, we can take on the world!
I'll head home on my own. After all, I'm only a little sore.
It's cool. We'll go together.
Aw, thanks, bro.
Cut that out.
This way.
But believe it or not, we're not actually done with Chapter 4 yet. If you think after the fight against Roach that was like the end piece, no. Chapter 4 will actually carry on until the end of the next morning. So we're going to go back here with Wedge. We're going to catch up and make sure everyone touched base just fine. We're going to go to bed. In the morning something will happen, and then after that the chapter ends. So if you're going through it on hard mode, that's important information to know, because you don't want to burn through all your magic or burn through all your resources against the boss fight with Roach and then get caught off guard by the fact there's still a little bit more fighting for us to do before we reach the end of this chapter.
Wouldn't have guessed.
Like, that sort of information of when precisely chapters end becomes a godsend when going through hard mode, because as I've said before, you cannot restore your magic. You only have a limited amount. You cannot use items. You have to be extremely conservative of what you use and how you use it in hard mode. And you only get a full restore of your health and magic when you transition chapters. So you have to be so on the ball and careful of what you do.
People around here love to gossip.
They know about Jessie and Avalanche?
And this is an interesting bit with Wedge, where he says, be wary of Jessie. I know she's all friendly and whatnot, but she's messing with you. She's an actress. You see, it's all a game to her. Cloud's like, I don't get what you're on about.
Life's the stage and loves the play.
That'll be made more obvious in the next video, because I've got to wrap this up soon. But we got another cutscene that I don't want to talk over, coming up in just a second, because it's really cute to get a little bit more of an idea of how Wedge is.
Hey there, Bigums, Reggie, Smalls. Brought a new friend to meet you.
What?
These little guys are on guard duty today.
Okay.
Thanks for seeing me home.
Really sorry about your ass.
It's all good, bro.
It's kind of weird when you call me that.
Hey, don't be scared. Deep down, he's a big softie. It's okay. It's okay. Good job, guys. Great work.
And that's where I'm going to be wrapping it up. There's another cutscene if you go visit Jessie, because we need to get our payment for doing the work for her. And also, just check up and make sure that Biggs and Jessie are fine from that. But but we can do that next time. This video has gone on for way long enough. And yeah, I don't know how many more cutscenes I can cut out talking from before Share Factory gets annoyed at me making too many audio files. So next time on the Final Fantasy VII Remake, we're going to go check in with Jessie and then call it a night to see what the morning brings. But until then, you guys take care now. Peace.